The DHS warns LGBTQ plus events and gathering places as terror threat targets.
NBC News, the Department of Homeland Security is now warning of possible threats to the LGBTQ plus community, to Jewish and migrant communities coming from violent extremists inside the United States. According to one senior official, Americans motivated by violent ideologies pose, and I'm quoting here, a persistent and lethal threat. The DHS bulletin also talks about how some extremists have been inspired by attacks recently, including that shooting at the LGBTQ plus bar in Colorado Springs.
Florida is no stranger to LGBTQ gun violence as polls shocked the entire world. In South Florida this year, we have seen hate speech attacks in many ways, most notably Fort Lauderdale's Sunshine Cathedral, with deranged posters against the LGBTQ plus community. Nationally, we yet again see gun violence at Colorado's LGBTQ plus Club Q, leaving 5 people dead and 17 hospitalized. On the eve of World AIDS Day, a new terrorism advisory bulletin was issued by the Department of Homeland Security, raising concerns about potential threats to the LGBTQ, Jewish, and migrant communities from violent extremists inside the United States. Domestic terrorism. Queer News Tonight has been following this story for a number of days leading up to this new DHS warning. Early this week, we received pictures from graffiti sprayed in locations of both Wilton Manors and Fort Lauderdale. The images were signs that spray painted, quote, "Kill Fags Daily," end quote. We have not yet been able to independently verify the incidents. Also earlier in the week, the DHS domestic terrorism warning, Fort Lauderdale Police Department contacted Sunshine Cathedral about their concerns about elevated threats. Last night, Sunshine Cathedral's senior minister did the first of a 4-part Advent Christmas program called Drag Queen Bible Story Hour. The program has senior minister Rev Dr Durrel Watkins becoming the drag queen, Rev Dr Dragvina Scriptura, as she tells Bible stories. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department advised that because of unspecified concern, they were going to add police presence at the church for the Wednesday evening program. In related news, hours before that event, the DHS held a briefing and issued a warning on domestic terrorism against the LGBTQ community. A senior DHS official told reporters in the briefing on the bulletin that violent ideologies pose a, quote, persistent and lethal threat, end quote. Intelligence officials across the federal government have consistently highlighted the growing threat of American extremists in recent years, while explaining that foreign threats such as the Islamic State terrorist group and Al-Qaeda are no longer as persistent as they once were. The bulletin said some extremists have been inspired by recent attacks, including the shooting at the LGBTQ bar in Colorado Springs. Asked about 2022 growing hate speech about many of these threat communities, including the likes of Kanye West, contributed to increased threats to Jewish people. A senior DHS official said, quote, any high-profile official or celebrity trafficking in conspiracy theories only serves to ignite violence among extremists, end quote. Queer News Tonight will continue to follow the breaking and evolving story here. Anyone surprised about DHS's notice about...
I'm not, and I'm really happy that they've jumped the gun and told people this, because it's scary times right now. Look, I have friends that have decided to get a gun. Okay, and these are people that would have never ever thought about doing such a thing, and I think that's a bad idea. But that's a whole other show. Okay. Also, we have a friend of mine and a friend of one of the of production as well, Vols Allen, that she was performing at Lips, and then she was also performing at George's Alibi a day ago, and there was a gentleman wielding a gun out in the parking lot. Right? He was not caught. There was also another guy that was doing the same thing in front of Hunter's last night. You know, so I mean, things are. They're beefing up security, you know, which they need to do. And, you know, a lot of our entertainers are fearful, as they should be.
Yeah. It is, I'm happy that DHS is taking a serious look, not just warning us, but my guess would be when they put out something like that, then local governments get notified, they get put on notice. They have to now provide resources to protect us.
Yeah.
Right? Because there was a time in America where they would not protect us at all, right? And so the threat is real, and it's being taken seriously for a change.
You know, Victor, I'm curious, executive director at Pride Lines, when you hear DHS's notice or for Lauderdale Police Department's police protection at Sunshine Cathedral last night for their event, it must wash over you of, I think about Pride Lines.
So sadly, we're living in a time where my leadership team and I are constantly having conversations around safety. Our clients coming to our center, for our clients and our staff at our centers, and exploring ways to ensure that should this trickle its way down to our front door and in our space, we have systems in place to protect our people as best as possible. And the sad reality is that as an organization whose doors are open to anyone, right, as a community organization, we don't know who that person is going to be, or if, God forbid it, that ever happens. But we let everyone in, believing that they're coming to us for services, and it's almost like welcoming hate into the space.
Yeah. So it sounds like we all agree that we think that the threat has real potential. DHS's announcement
But do we
is
feel safe?
important for.
But do we feel safe? No, I don't feel safe.
No. Considering it's World AIDS Day, like looking at if we look at the history, right, that is if anti-gay, anti-trans violence, anti-black violence went up with HIV/AIDS, right? Like that is as people began to blame certain communities for the disease, and they found, targets. Last year was this year, actually 2022, has been the highest anti-LGBTQ legislation, introduced in a number of state legislatures. That rhetoric matters, right? And then violence goes, it comes along with that.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
You talked about Kanye West, but really, what these politicians are putting out and putting into legislation is a lot worse than a tweet by some rapper.
I think that's what DHS was secretly saying.
Yeah.
If you're expressing publicly, whether you're a celebrity or politician, that's the issue. We at Queer News Tonight are going to follow this story. It's breaking news, but we're going to follow it closely. As we told you, we are in an outdoor venue at the new rooftop inauguration of Care Resource. The top, because everybody's working on their hair. Wow. Wow. And World AIDS Day. And this, I'm sorry, did you say we're gay?
I mean, we're gay.
Yeah,
What do you
we're gay. Right, exactly. And we're really thrilled to be here and help promote Care Resource Mission and the World AIDS Day story. And we have a guest with us, Dr. Cheryl Zagas. Did I pronounce it? Zayas, thank you. Is the medical director. I haven't met you before here at Care Resource. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. And we want to make sure, we told you, we're live and outdoors.
Outdoors. Anything can happen.
You see my goosebumps? Goosebumps in Miami.
And we're testing to make sure that we've got good
It's like
sound.
75
Go
degrees
ahead.
out. It's like
Yes, we're good now. Thank you. Sorry about that, Dr. Zayas.
Thank you so much for coming.
We're thrilled to be here. Tell us a little bit about this moment for Care Resource and World AIDS Day and inaugurating this rooftop venue.
We are just so proud to have this space. Care Resource has been working on the HIV epidemic for 40 years, since 1983, when it was the Health Choice Network. And Health Crisis Network. And, we've come a long way. And here we are. This is a beautifully new renovated building. And on World AIDS Day, we're able to have, everybody come here and continue to raise awareness, which is really what Care Resource has always been about, ending the epidemic. And we now have so many tools to truly do it. And I'm pumped. Honestly, with everything that we have ready to go, and there's so many tools in our toolbox now. We can really do it.
We're going to do a story later in the show tonight about Care Resource and all of the medical services that are provided. We're going to include an interview, some comments in an interview that we had with Dr. Anthony Fauci, and him talking about the importance of organizations like Care Resource and local delivery. Tell us a little bit about the HIV and AIDS services that Care Resource provides.
So we truly try to be a patient-centered medical home. We have so many different services. We have medical, we have dental, we have case management, we have behavioral health. We truly try to, be somewhere where everything can be taken care of that might be needed. As far as the 4 pillars of ending the epidemic, we do test and treat program where we provide free testing. The moment that someone is identified, we treat them the same day. We have prevention services such as PrEP, all different sorts of PrEP, any way that works for you to get. We have 1 pill once a day regimens for prevention. We have injectable prevention options, and the technology just keeps moving forward. We also have the syringe exchange program in order to reach out to the community, and we also have programs specifically to go reach out to our people of transgender experience, because as we know, they are disproportionately affected.
We're going to report on that tonight. My last question to you is something that Dr. Fauci reminded me on in the interview. We have the commitment, the worldwide commitment, but we have the U.S. commitment to have no new infections by 2030. And he said in the interview leading up to World AIDS Day that we're already behind. It's 2022 and we're behind in terms of where we want to be to reach that goal. As the medical director of Care Resource, what do you think about the goal of 2030 and tell us about
the way that social media goes? It's really about getting the word out there, making sure that people understand that they are at risk and that there are options for them. And there's the way that things go now. Everybody's in their echo chambers. If we could reach out to the people and break through those barriers and really get to everybody who's at risk, I think it's absolutely possible. We can still make that goal.
There's our hope. It's possible by 2030. Dr. Cheryl Zayas, congratulations. We are thrilled to be here for your World AIDS Day event. And we remind you that you're going to get to watch every minute of this celebration inaugurating this beautiful 7th floor rooftop venue. And by the way, it's dark now and we're outdoors, but there's a beautiful view of downtown Miami and Miami Beach. And Dr. Zayas, thank you for being with us at Queer News tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor, for being with us. And you look great in red.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.